Hey everybody, this is our next project called tornadoes, or sometimes they're referred to as wormholes. Whichever they go by, they are really cool. They're optical illusion art. As you can see, it kind of tricks your eye. And so we're gonna stick with our value scales like we did on our last project. And adding the arches and the value really makes it look 3D. So that's what we're going to be trying to achieve. In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw your tornadoes. And then the next one, I'll show you how to color them. So obviously you do not need a ruler. You just need a pencil, an eraser, and a black marker of some kind. And then obviously for your coloring, you'll need your colored pencils again. So first, get your piece of paper. And what I like to do, what I like to start with is this middle line, right? Because you're not just doing it up and down. You have to get that nice middle. So you're kind of creating that 3D effect. So what you do is do a kind of wavy line. It doesn't, see how kind of soft wave, you could make it a bigger, like you could do it kind of wavy like this. However, you don't want it to be so tight like this, okay? Because it kind of takes away your effect. And with the other stuff, you have a lot going on. This would make it a lot harder. So you could kind of make it a little bit, and actually I think I will make it just a hair wavier, but you, like I said, you don't want it to be real tight curls. You just want it to be kind of a long wave. And also you're going to be tracing this with your marker again. So any like little marks that you mess up on for this part of the project, don't worry about it, because like this here, you're gonna be going over it with a marker and you won't even see it. And then afterwards, you're just gonna be erasing your stray marks. So here we go. And remember to draw lightly. I'm drawing a little bit darker so to make sure you can see it in the video, but the lighter you draw, the better, because you won't see your erase marks, okay? So your next step is to draw your vertical lines, okay? You need, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say you need at least 5 tornadoes in this project. At least 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can have more, but to really fill the space, you need at least 5, okay? So what I like to do is I like to start kind of on the side. Remember with this, you could even go off the page. So if you look here, these two on the ends are cut in half, and it actually makes it look cooler that way. This little guy, he's not even the whole page, but he sneaks in there just a little bit. So it kind of adds to the illusion if you have little sections. But let's go ahead and get started with the middle, right? So remember that elongated wave, you don't want it to be real tight curls, and you don't want it to be parallel. And what I mean by that, you don't want the same line over and over, right? You want it to kind of look warped. So you want to do different waves each time. So my kind of rule of thumb is I always try to go opposite. Like I went this way for that line, now I'm gonna go the opposite way. Now, and see how it kind of went, it's really easy to do to make it look the same, but every once in a while it's okay. So we just need to make sure that our next one is not gonna be the same as this one. So let's see here. Instead of starting here, I'm gonna go kind of up. See, it's really easy to kind of go the same direction, but let's see here. I'm gonna kind of make him kind of go like that. And see, now I'm gonna I'm going the same direction, so Maybe I want to sneak him in a little bit further. Go in and then out. There we go. So you kind of just have to take a second, stop what you're doing, and kind of see how the directions goes. And it doesn't have to be perfect because obviously they're wavy lines, but you want to try to make the least amount of parallel lines as possible. So I could leave this guy as one of a tornado, or I could make a little section on the side, and I think I will do that. So I'm gonna go in, and then I'm gonna follow this line, and then kind of wavy like that. So these guys are gonna kind of peek around. Oh, it's gonna peek. And so you're gonna just see like just a little bit, kind of like here, where you have just that little section of the tornado. Okay, so now we need to go the other way. So let's see here. This way, let's go in. Oh, see, now once I started it, it was gonna start kind of going with the other. So instead of going in, let's go this way. See, it kind of still did that, but you can't, I get nitpicky with it, and honestly, in the end, you can't tell it as much, but let's do the same thing. Let's do another little sneaky guy in the corner here. He might be too small over here. Actually, why don't we just go off the page so he doesn't go all the way. And so our tornado is just gonna be peeking in there. Okay, so anyway, get your lines and what you're happy with. Take a look at it, and if you don't, you know, say if you wanna change it up, say if I would wanna change these guys, I could, or I could just leave them. And again, you can do it as you go. Okay, so next step is the kind of eyes or the middles here that you're gonna create. So instead of just doing curves all the way up and all the way down, the top part has to be curved up, and then the bottom part has to be curved down. Okay, so they're going different directions. So we're gonna start, and basically you're just kind of making a football shape or an eyeball. And one thing you want to really make sure is that you really want to arch those lines. You don't want to just make a line, because the more you arch it, the more 3D it's gonna pop up, okay? So, and that's probably one of the hardest parts of this project, is to keep your lines arched, because it's really easy to get in the mode and end up with straight lines. So take your time. What I like to do is I like to go through and do all my middles and then go tornado by tornado. So here is my arch, arch it up. And again, if these lines aren't perfect, and remember this one goes off the paper. So when you're doing the off the paper, you want to pretend like it would continue, right? So if you need to, get another piece of paper to continue those lines. Okay. Let's see. But like I was saying, if there's something you don't like as you go, again, you can fix it, or remember you're going to be tracing it with marker, so sometimes you won't be able to see it after you trace it with a marker. Okay. So don't get too nitpicky on some things. Okay. So this guy, like that. So he's just gonna peek out. And again, if you need that piece of paper to help you see and continue that shape, that's what it would look like, okay? So that's your start of your tornadoes, okay? And now all you're doing is filling in your lines, okay? They need to be, you know, they can be a little bit farther apart on some areas, but they need to be about this much apart. You know, you want a lot of fun colors in there. You don't want just a couple stripes, right? The more stripes you have, the better illusion you have. So, but again, some can be kind of spaced out a little bit farther than the others, and that's fine too. What you need to do, I like to start in the middle. And what I like to do is I like to go and kind of make these guys rounded off just a hair, right? Round them off. So it's kind of like they're stacked on top of each other. It's kind of like this, like that, okay? Now on the one, I like to do every other one, and I'll get to that in a second, but I like to start off, okay? And remember to keep that arch. If you think I think that could use a little bit more arch. So arch it a little extra, okay? A little extra. There we go. And so see how I'm kind of going over my lines here? That's what I like to do with the first ones I draw, because it just kind of adds another element of 3D. Oops, see, I got a little flat there. So even when you get flat, you can keep some of them, but make sure the next section is going back to arch. Because really, if you think about worms or even tornadoes, you know, they have that kind of body, and so you will have those little sections that create movement, and that's what you're doing with these lines here. Okay, so again, I'm at the top, so I'm going to pretend that I'm not getting cut off by the paper here. Okay. So sometimes I like to do that to help me get the correct angle. Okay, so there's my first one. Like I've said, art is all about finding little tricks to help you. I like to do them this way because I kind of visualize a rainbow arch, and it helps me see it a little bit better. But if you think of smiley faces, right? And you can do your arches a lot better this way, that's fine. Or if you need to, just turn it over. I tend to turn it over, but let's go ahead and do it upside down. It seems like sometimes I can't get them arched enough, but we will try. And like I said, it's totally up to you if you see smiley faces or if you see rainbows better. Whichever. Actually, I'm not doing too bad upside down. Oh, I got a little straight there. And see how I made it a little fatter? That's fine. There is really kind of no rhyme or reason for the amount of lines. Oh, I'm getting a little flat, so let's get back to the smiley. And like I said, notice how I'm kind of going over top of these lines to create that rounded off look. Okay, and then we're getting at the bottom again. So I got my other paper here. I'm I'm gonna go off, continue, and then there we go. Okay, so there's your first tornado. Looks pretty good. And then, to save time, I'm just gonna do a couple for you because it is the same technique for each one. So I'm gonna go a little faster this time. I'm gonna skip this guy. Okay, so do one, skip one, do one, and we'll come back to this one in just a second. So you're gonna do the same thing. You're kind of rounding these guys off. Don't forget your arches. Okay. And remember, if you start flattening out, just continue to arch it. Okay. And it'll kind of correct itself. And if it's not correcting itself, there's no harm in, go back and erasing. Edit as you go. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I'm starting to go off the paper a little bit, and that's okay. Actually, there's not going to be a lot of room for that little guy, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of cut him off. And actually, I could be doing this with my marker when the time comes, so I don't have to get nitpicky with that. Okay, so now I'm going to start back on getting this little section there open. Oops. Okay, so there's that. Let's do one more. And notice how I am going a little faster for the video's sake, but notice how I'm going slow to make sure my arches are correct, right? I am going a little flat here, so I need to make sure that I bump it up in the middle just a hair. Okay. There we go. And remember, you can kind of get skinny ones, but then you can also kind of make them fat. Do another little skinny guy. Make another little skinny guy. Do another fat one, right? It's totally up to you. Okay, again, we're getting up at the top. So I need to make sure that my ankles are going to be fine. And voila, there's your second tornado. Okay, so, and then what I would do is I would do this third one, and then go back and do the middles. Now, the middle ones are a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about that kind of bubbled edge, because picture these guys more on top, okay? These guys are a little overlapped. So with this, all you're going to do is go from side to side, okay? Now, you do not want to go from line to line, line to line, because remember, they're all different and they're kind of all warped and changing differently. But you just need to go from side to side, and you're following that angle again. So again, you're not doing that bubbled edge because they are kind of the ones in the background. I see like I'm going up. Remember, your lines are kind of wavy, so don't be afraid to kind of get off, to kind of go along with your lines, go along with your tornadoes. And notice I'm kind of getting a little bit bigger here compared to these guys, and that's okay. Okay, got that one. Line to line. Remember to keep them nice and arched. And really, honestly, if you think you arched it too much, you probably didn't. I think you really can't arch it too much because that just shows different depth, right? It shows you more 3D. And once we add those values in there, that's when it's going to really make it pop. Okay. And notice how my lines don't match up. Now some of them do here and there, but they don't go. Each tornado is all itself. Okay, so they do not go matchy. Okay, so there you go. And so again, I would do this one the way we did before, like bubbled, kind of bubbled around like that, and then you go back in and add in the kind of in the background ones, okay? Then after this, after you finish it all, okay, you're gonna be tracing it with a marker. I use a Sharpie, but obviously you can use any kind of marker, preferably black, okay? And all you're doing is going back through and doing all your lines. Okay, so I'll just show you, and don't forget Sharpie especially bleeds through, so I always like to kind of get a scrap piece of paper to put it underneath. That way I can go off the page, but also in case it bleeds through. Okay, now again, you're going to be erasing your kind of stray marks and things, so don't worry too much about it. Again, I like to start with the bubbled sides. So I'll do my eye first. Okay. Bubble. And again, I don't have to go, you know, exactly on my line. If I feel like I need to arch it a little bit more, you know, maybe my pencil one isn't as arched, do it with a marker, and then once you erase all your stray marks, you won't even see it. Okay, so you're gonna go all the way up. Okay, be nice and neat with your marker. Okay. Especially once you stop your marker, make sure you're closing off your edges. Sometimes we get in such a hurry that it looks sloppy, right? So those are just little things that you can look out for to make your work better. And it really doesn't have anything to do with talent. It's just taking your time and making it look nice and neat. So anyway, you're gonna go through. Let me go ahead and show you how to do the edge one real quick. Because again, it's gonna look a little different, but you still want that angle, right? You still want it to look, you want it to look like it's continuing and not just being cut off at the paper. So for this section here, since it's little, but I still want to make it look like it's continuing. So, like I said, get you a piece of paper, okay? Make sure you're making those arches. And if you don't feel comfortable doing a little sliver of one or something, you know, but this guy right up to the edge, and that's completely fine too. Just remember you need at least 5 tornadoes. Okay, so, and there you go. Okay, so pretend that I did all this and voila, here we go. So take your time. The drawing of the lines and the coloring, the values, are gonna take a little bit longer, but it's not hard. It's just, it's just time consuming, okay? So take your time, be nice and neat. Again, after you trace all this with your marker, Remember, go back and see all these little stray marks. That's when you can erase your marks like this before you start coloring, okay? Especially with the bubbled edges, make sure you get all those little lines off, okay? So obviously this looks a lot neater than this part here. So you need to clean up all your stray marks, okay? So the next video, I'm gonna show you how to color. We're gonna be picking out colors and doing values. So